The character roster of Halo has gotten quite expansive over the years. The biggest culprit of this is without a doubt Halo 5 Guardians. Instead of playing as a lone Spartan, Halo 5 introduced Blue Team from the expanded universe, as well as an entirely new squad, filled with both familiar and new faces. This was Fireteam Osiris. While playing a pivotal role in that story, Osiris are nowhere to be seen in Halo's latest entry, most likely due to the backlash of Halo 5's campaign. But what if we were to get these Spartans back, in form of a campaign DLC? What would they look like in this new art style? It's time to redesign Halo. Greetings, Redesign here. Longtime viewers of the channel probably remember me posting a video where I already redesigned Fireteam Osiris. But due to the fact that I only tackled the helmets in that video, and due to overall self-improvement, I decided I wanted to give it another shot. This time, redesigning the entire armor. So I will not only compare these redesigns to the originals, but I'll also compare it to my last attempt at redesigning Osiris. Now to be clear, I'm designing them with Halo Infinite's art style in mind. The goal is to keep their overall looks, but reimagined for the more simple aesthetics of Infinite. And lastly, I want to thank my Spartan 2 patrons and Discord mods for helping me design these armors. I genuinely couldn't have done it without them. Check the link to my Patreon in the description if you also want to be a part of my redesigning process. Now, without further ado, let's begin. When looking at the entire Fireteam, Tanaka's armor is most likely the first thing your eyes are drawn to, due to the bright color scheme. But what makes her truly stand out is the highly saturated blood red visor, as well as the bright blue pipes going across her entire armor. The helmet is rather unique in Osiris, with its asymmetrical features, such as the forehead piece and the two protruding parts at the top. The rest of her armor, while bulky in some places, is quite revealing, leaving her unprotected around the waist. While I like the look of Tanaka, I think giving her some armor where it's missing should make it feel more balanced. I also think the shapes could be a little more clear when translating it to Infinite's art style. And here's my redesign. Parts such as the red visor and blue pipes, while toned down a bit, are still present in the redesign. Taking a look at the helmet, it's clear I mostly based this off of my old redesign. That's actually the only one I mostly stand by still as being a decent design. The pipes being turned into vents and the forehead being given a more reachy look really made it a more clear design in my opinion. The only major change I made for this redesign is the visor line, which I thought more closely followed her original design while also giving her some eyes, so to speak. Taking a look at the rest of the body, things look rather familiar, but simplified, as well as being given a more round design language. While I like her more bulky look in 5, I think slimming her chest piece down made it more balanced, especially with her new armor piece around the waist. And finally, her arms and legs, while staying true to the original, were made a little more readable. While not being my favorite member of Osiris, visually speaking, it didn't take much for me to turn her into one of my favorites. Let me know what you think of this redesign. Being an ODST before his appearance as a Spartan in Halo 5, Buck's armor is very much unique to him. The Helljumper armor set is a true blend of the gritty look of ODSTs and the more bulky look of Spartans. To pay tribute to his origins, the armor goes for a warm grey finish, but weirdly enough gives him a green visor, making him look truly unique. Buck's armor has always been a favorite of mine, so redesigning it was definitely tricky. So my approach was to simply reimagine the entire thing. What if I went even harder with the ODST inspiration? So this is my redesign. First thing that comes to mind is definitely the new visor, so let's take a closer look at the helmet. This was probably my least favorite redesign I made last time. The only notable difference back then was the cheek pieces, which I simply made more blocky. This time, I wanted to keep the more round look of the original, while still giving it the angularity of the typical Spartan helmet. Speaking of, I more or less copied the Firefall helmet when it came to the forehead, to give it a more aggressive look, fitting for a Spartanized helmet. And of course, the blue visor saw its triumphant return, giving him a truly classic look. For the rest of the armor, I mostly blockified it, seeing as the original went a little too crazy with its soft corners in some places. I also made sure to give him some pouches, giving him a more tactical twist. Even though I love the original, the redesign gives him something entirely different. For better or for worse, that's up to you. Let me know what you think of this one. Olympia Vale is an interesting member of Osiris, and has even earned a cult following of sorts because of her unique quirks. Vale takes a lot of inspiration from the Sangheili culture not only as a character, but also visually, which gives her the most alien design out of all 4 members. The most striking part of her design is the huge iridescent visor, going from yellow to magenta to blue, depending on what angle it's being viewed from. Now, this comes down to personal preference, but I like it when Spartans more or less follow the standard design language seen throughout the games. So while I'll be keeping her overall look, my design is going to be a more classic Spartanized version of it. And here's the redesign. This was, without a doubt, the most drastic redesign I made. While I think her alien look in the original is fine, I'd always wondered what she'd look like if she more closely followed the classic Spartan aesthetic. Taking a look at her helmet, I more or less gave her the same treatment as last time, but making the design a little more compact, giving her helmet a more standard look. As for the visor, I experimented with a more cyan-based color scheme, but I ended up giving her a more orangey visor, which transitions into purple. The rest of her armor also saw a significant change. The unorthodox design language was replaced by a more familiar aesthetic. Organic shapes were turned into more simple round ones, and extra armor was added where it was previously missing. And just like the original, I included some yellow details here and there, and even included some references to the swords of Sanghelios. While fans of Vale's original armor probably aren't too happy, those of us who never enjoyed her organic look should be a little more satisfied with this one. Let me know what you think of this redesign. And finally, the leader of Fireteam Osiris, Spartan Locke. This armor goes all in on the mean stealth look, with a bluish dark grey color scheme as well as the thin bright blue visor. And while Locke himself is quite beefy, the armor is actually rather sleek and lightweight compared to other members of Osiris such as Buck or Tanaka. But while the body armor is fairly clean, the same can't be said about the helmet. The mouth area in particular is filled to the brim with detail, and the visor has a quite complicated shape. For the redesign, I want to balance the amount of detail on the helmet with the rest of the armor a little better, as well as just put my own spin on the armor. And here's my redesign. At first glance, this is actually the most faithful of the redesigns. But what I ended up changing, I think made a huge difference. First, the helmet. The biggest problem people had with my old redesign was the lack of detail on the mouthpiece. And knowing what I know now, I don't know how I could let that slide. It was also compared to Optimus Prime on multiple occasions, so remedying this was pretty important. And it turned out, the solution was to more closely follow the original. But I made sure to tone down the detail a little, and made a clear contrast between the black mouth area and the grey cheek pieces. The top was given a more angular silhouette, to fit in with the rest of the helmet a little better. And this time around, I decided to keep the luminous visor, seeing as I thought this would set him apart from the other Spartans. For the chest piece, I very closely followed the original, but I made it a little more bulky, since I thought the old one was just a little too small. And as for the arms and legs, they just took what was there and made it a little more clear and readable. And as a final touch, I added some pouches and attachments to make him seem more tactical. This time, Locke's redesign is a lot more faithful to the source material, while still giving him a more defined look. Let me know what you think of this redesign. And there it is. That's all 4 members of Fireteam Osiris. All very much recognizable, just modified to look more balanced and more in line with Infinite's art style. Let me know what you think of these redesigns. Did I improve them, or make them worse? Let me know which one's your favorite. And be sure to let me know if you'd like to see full body redesigns for Blue Team too. I'd love to give that a shot. And again, a huge thanks to my Spartan 2 patrons and my Discord mods. If you also want to be a part of my redesigning process, go check out the different tiers on my Patreon. Link is in the description. Speaking of, I want to thank my Spartan 2s. That one guy, D Marshmallow, Diehard Colt 3, Ripcorded, Hitsuyona Corrento, Azores, Desu, The Lenster 2.0, Code and Wash, Captain Waffles, and Loud and Donny. My Spartan 3s, Progtroj, Jordan Downey, and the Red Hunt. And my Spartan 4s, Liam Fitzpatrick, and Jacob P117. If you like this video, give it a like. If not, a dislike. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I wish you all the best, and take care. Vernissage, out.